Welcome to Well Read, a program about a little bit of this and a little bit of that at your Ames Public Library. I'm Jerri Hyde, Youth Services Manager at APL, and today I want you to think about, have you ever had a pang in your stomach that you're so hungry you can't concentrate on what you're doing? Or you can't concentrate because of that fact that you are so hungry? Have you ever thought about or wondered where your next meal is going to come? And when you're going to eat it, and where it's going to come from? Well, many of our students have that same problem. Our children in our country, in our state, and in our city of Ames. And during the school year, it's not such a problem because at least one meal a day they have at school. But during the summertime, that's not necessarily the case. So our program today is one way that we may be able to solve part of that problem at least a couple days a week. So I've invited Jerri from Youth Services Center. I messed that up, didn't I? Youth Shelter Services, and Jean Cressy from United Way. And Jerri, since you have a good name like mine,
right.
I'm going to start with you. Would you like to share a little bit about what you do at Youth Shelter and Services?
I work for Youth and Shelter Services. I am the director of all of our prevention programs, so mentoring, substance abuse, pregnancy prevention, and early intervention programs. So in the food program this summer feeding program, we're the sponsoring agency because of our concern about prevention and
in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we'll get more about the project here very, very quickly. So now, Jean, you have a great name too, and it begins with my special letter, the J. So, we have Jerri and Jerri and Jerri and Jean.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about you and what United Way has to do with this project.
Well, United Way of Story County has the Hunger Collaboration, and the Hunger Collaboration, formed in 2011. And since that time, we've been looking at what are the root causes of hunger, but who in the community and the surrounding communities are hungry, and what we can do collectively with partners to make sure that we can at least have meals provided, especially to children. We also look at providing meals to our senior citizens as well. But primarily looking at what are the causes and what we can do to help those around us.
So can you share what are some of the causes of our
What we're
problem?
finding is that Story County is a community where there's great wealth. And there are a lot of educated people because of the Iowa State campus. But we also have a community where we need folks who are doing more of the direct service work, and those are lower wages. So you look at a family of 4, for example, and if they're making less than $19 an hour, one individual, they're really just making enough to get by. They're not really making enough to thrive or to save for education or save for vacation or even save for crisis if their transmitter would go out. So
let me repeat that. You said $19?
$19 an hour.
$19.
Yep.
So that's not minimum wage.
No, that's not
$19, almost $20 an hour.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's very few jobs that pay that wage, especially for those who maybe just have a high school education or just a few hours of a college credit. And so it is a struggle for families in order to make all of their ends meet. And I think today, too, more families pay more than 30% of their wages for housing. And way back in the 50s, I don't know that percentage, but when Dad went to work and Mom stayed home, the greater percentage of their income did not go to housing. So I think that's changed in the country, in the world, and in Iowa.
And so it's also not only just basic living, but if you do go out and work, then you have that daycare dilemma.
Right.
Of buying that per hour and taking that amount away too. So, so do you know, I know there's the free and reduced lunches that are at the, we kind of measure some of our goals, our state goals, and of how our students are doing, or, so can you speak either one of you to that number?
Well, I think that statewide, we have about 200,000 students on the free and reduced school lunch program during the year, and about 11% of those are actually participating in a summer food service program. In Story County, for elementary age children, about 30% of the kids in elementary, so that's grades K through 5, are on the free and reduced lunch program. During the summer, of course, if we want to look at the state, if you look at about 10% of those, there's just not a whole lot of summer food options for those children. So in Ames, we have 5 elementary buildings, and it runs anywhere from 20% at one elementary building all the way to 49%. So really getting close to that 1 out of 2 children in that particular building are on the on the free and reduced lunch program.
And which means what? What does a free and reduced lunch mean?
It means the family can either, depending on their income, the lunch is either given to that child free or they pay a reduced cost.
So those children and those parents are providing either a small amount of money or it's all paid for so they can have just the one meal at lunch, or is there breakfast included in that?
Many schools there's breakfast.
Breakfast as well. So, but then during the summertime, which is where we're going to, there isn't any options typically because they don't have that option at school. So I know our Ames Reads Coalition and the Hunger and United Way has spearheaded and launched opportunities for children to be able to eat somewhere. And last summer we launched that for the very first time. Jerri, do you want to speak to that? Because I know you were the fiscal agent last year as well.
Actually, it's our 4th year, YSS's 4th year
Okay.
of sponsoring the summer feeding program. The first year we did it in Nevada, not in Ames. We provided those services. And then we worked with the Ames schools, but last year we did a site at the First Methodist Church next door. So that was the first time we kind of did an open site in Ames.
And now I know we're using the term open site. So I know, Jean, who can define the
Probably
open site
Jean can do it better than I can.
definition?
So through the Iowa Department of Education and ultimately USDA, they're in charge of the food programs. And an open site for summer simply means that you are in a geographical spot where they've identified as a spot in the community where there might be more families with lower incomes. And so it's easier for children to get to. So that means for the sponsoring agency that every child that comes in 18 and under,
Right.
that they would be reimbursed by the Department of Education for that meal served. We have enrolled sites as well, and so for those enrolled sites, we need to make sure that at least 50% of the students enrolled are on the free and reduced lunch program, and then we would be reimbursed for all of them. If we fall below the 50%, then we need to be responsible for covering the cost of the other children that we feed.
And so, and that would be our summer school option that we have out at Ames
At the
Middle
Ames
School.
Middle School, right,
So,
right.
So we do have a closed site, but we're going to talk about the open
Open
site,
site.
because the open site now is going to be here at the Ames Public Library.
Which is
during-
very exciting.
Yes, I'm very excited as well too, that to provide that opportunity to serve meals here, and it isn't necessarily just a that we're just going to throw some meals on the table, or there's some thoughtful planning that goes
Yes.
behind a project such as this, and one, like you said, Jean, I think you've been filling out paperwork and doing some stuff.
No, actually, that's wonderful because that's
So that's
Youth
my
Youth
job.
Youth
Taking that,
Services is
okay.
the sponsor, so no
so Jerri,
paperwork
tell
on my
us about
table.
some of the paperwork that you have
Well,
filled out.
There's an initial application. We are, as a sponsoring agency, we are allowed to do any sites for 5 years within the Story County area, and this being our 4th year. We do an application every year. It's very site specific, so we'll list the library. We have to find we don't provide the food at YSS, so we have to contract for the food.
And we are contracting out with?
Mary Greeley Medical Center
All right.
for the 2nd year, which is awesome to bring them aboard as a partner. So we have to monitor we'll have to track how many kids and that kind of thing, and some minimal training in terms of health and safety. But Mary Greeley provides sack lunches, so it's a very simple process.
And last year, we kind of collaborated a little bit with the church next door by providing a program before, and then some helpers of our teen helpers to help serve. And I went over there a couple times, and it looked like a really nice lunch. It had very well balanced, but it had a dessert too, which is important to some of us.
There are requirements in terms of protein and fruits and vegetables and grains that have to be part of the meal. And Mary Greeley's dietetic staff works with that.
So yep, and so the people that ate there last summer just went through the line, grabbed their sack lunch, and now there's a couple rules that go along with that too, because they do have to stay on site to eat
They
it.
have to eat the meal on site.
Right. And so this year it will be in the library. We are planning to do it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, starting June 6th, I believe,
Right.
through July 29th, with the exception of July 4th. We're not open on that day, but the other Mondays will be here, and Wednesdays and Fridays. And we are, I love using this, I giggle every time. We're sandwiching our programs between the lunch, on both sides. So,
But what's important about that is that we know that more kids will come and eat if there's activities. So,
Right.
So that's why this is a wonderful partnership.
right. And so on those mornings, we'll have a younger program in the morning. And then we're going to clear off the one side. It'll be in the auditorium, and we'll just kind of do a little cafe style line through. We are also going to add during that mealtime maybe a read aloud. So we'll be reading a juvenile fiction, like Miss Piggle Wiggle, or we haven't decided on the book yet. But so we're going to read aloud while the people are eating, and then after that. After the lunch is cleaned up, then we either have a school age program or a teen program, or in the case of Fridays, we have a movie afterwards that each Friday. So we'll be providing those activities to hopefully entice people to come in the morning and stay for lunch, or for lunch and then stay for the other program. Because, like you said, nationally it is, research based, and nationally it is proven that those activities reinforce that goodness along with the meal.
And we'll do some advertising out in the community to try to draw some folks to
get them all in, and so. I know last year, we talked about a little bit of age here, so it's for children 18 and younger. And with if mom or dad or the daycare provider wants to eat a meal, what do we do then?
We charge them. I believe last year it was $3.50 for the meal.
And so we'll have access to that type of thing, or taking the money in and providing them change if they need change. And so parents are welcome, or adults are welcome to sit with their children and eat along the way too. So you said we did it in Nevada, or YSS has done it in Nevada, and
Nevada continues, but with a different sponsor.
With a
the
different
school is the
sponsor.
sponsor.
And they have activities as well. So we are helping out our Ames children as well. Do either one of you have any words of wisdom to share with our families, or any thoughts?
Well, I think Jerri talks about prior to 2013, when we started Nevada, Story County, with as many kids on the free and reduced lunch program as we only had one summer food site at that point, and that was the Boys and Girls Club. And because of YSS stepping up and being the sponsor, Ames Reads being part of the summer enrichment programs, of course the library being an active partner in the Ames Reads. Last summer I'm really excited because we served almost 400 children last summer. Prior to that, it was about 100 children a day at the Boys and Girls Club. So we really, I think, have moved the needle. And I know that there are other communities that have the library involved in their summer food program, but there's not very many. So I'm excited that our library is stepping up, and I'm absolutely thrilled that Youth and Shelter Services will continue to be the sponsor.
Yes,
I think
I know I am.
it's a great partnership,
It's not too hard.
and I think it'll be really successful.
Yeah, and it's a great representation of when you collaborate together and work together that we can make our communities a better place. And my focus is typically children and you know, those that can't help themselves because they need the adults in their lives to help, or adult agencies, community groups to help. So I'm glad, I'm very excited about having all of us at the table, and there's more at the table than just us three, but
Absolutely.
us three organizations are the ones that are doing the financial part and the physical place part. But there are many other people at the table that are helping our children through the summer, not only being able to have a meal in their stomach, but also some activities, meals in their head, or food for their mind, food for their stomach, to make it a whole person, so they too can enjoy our community, our great community that we all live in. Until next time, happy reading.